In a shocking ideological flip-flop, many anti-maskers may be embracing the concept of being cucked by cloth in light of a burgeoning conspiracy claiming vaccinated individuals shed certain proteins onto the unvaccinated, resulting in the prickiverse suffering adverse effects. Chief amongst these concerns is the shedding purportedly causing irregular menstruation, infertility, and miscarriages. This baseless claim is a key cog in a larger conspiracy alleging COVID-19 is a ploy to depopulate the planet, and the vaccine is what will cull the masses. So imagine the Left Behind series after a torrid affair with a Dan Brown novel. But what I will say is this. Having seen many key members of this movement, I would assert that consistently wearing facial coverings will unequivocally increase their chances of conception. Well, if you wanted honesty, you have come to the wrong place. This is the Disinformed Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
And we are joined by a very special listener / inducted co-host for the evening, Superfan Steven. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you because officially this now covers, you'll be the one person listening to the episode while you're on the episode, and it'll be great.
I was going to say,
very meta for you, I'm sure.
Courtney was a listener and is now a co-host, and now I'm here. Who else is listening to the shows?
Well, hopefully you really like the sound of your own voice and you listen to the episode 20 times in a row on the first week.
I mean,
okay,
Dewan will still be listening because I love him and he knows it.
Well, another shameless plug that if you're not listening to Country Brothers, you should.
You're doing something wrong.
Secondarily, Dewan texted me earlier this week about last week's episode.
Did he now?
He did. He said, I liked the last episode. It's more enjoyable to listen to you, or it was more enjoyable to listen to when y'all aren't mean to each other. Tell the homie Shane that the Hiroshima jokes were hilarious.
It's official. I've been certified funny by Dewan, so I'm taking myself off of check from this point forward.
He may not come out of the womb cool, but once Dewan says you're cool, that's for life.
I've never been more flattered in the entirety of my existence, so thank you, Dewan. I owe you a big sloppy milker at some point later on. Indeed. So John has apparently got some Cliff's notes that he would like to dive into, but firstly, I have to take a moment and say, Courtney, I have a bone to pick with you, and not one regarding my typical bone-picking preferences from Instagram.
All right, shoot.
So in the course of prepping the playlist and getting myself ready, after we did our intro the week before last, technically, I started listening to Ashniko.
And?
I have a really difficult addiction. Yeah, John, she exposed you to it, so I mean...
No, she didn't. We arrived at the same point together.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't put it on a playlist and force me to listen to it. Now, I say that because you put it. I know you put it on the damn playlist. I don't listen to that shit.
No.
Come on.
Yeah, that's a lame band. Why would you listen to anything they have to say?
No, motherfucker.
Oof.
I put one of her music videos on in the background while we were setting up in this studio.
Okay. Well, the reason I have a bone of contention is not only is Deal With It incredibly intoxicating to the ears.
Oh yeah.
I had to show the video to Steven because the tentacle nipples have caused me to have, a new sort of degradation in what is bound to be my pornographic searches from this point forward. Because I didn't know tentacle porn was something that would actually get me eventually. But now I'm like, you know what?
Oh no.
Fuyo, this is tasty.
No.
Melissa, forgive me.
The tentacle chooses the Shane.
Indeed. I'm a little wrapped up in it is all I'm saying. And man, do those things suck.
I didn't think that we were going to get to one of my notes so quickly, but you really tossed this for me.
I'm good like that. So
On the
yeah, Steven, I'm sorry that I had to expose you to Ashniko.
It was an experience, I will say. I mean, squids and octopi are my favorite animals, but that was an unexpected turn of events.
What happens next may surprise you.
Hey, John, should we make Shane watch the first episode of Food Wars?
Oh, we so should. Okay.
I'm terrified.
Next time we're all here in person, before you leave, we are watching a 30-minute episode of an anime.
I
And
don't even think it's that long.
Oh, no.
yeah, it's 30 if you have ads.
Oh,
Like a
22
full
minutes.
version. Yeah.
The YouTube elitist over here.
Yeah. Every day we fall a little farther from Quab's grace.
Thank
and we've
you.
talked about this multiple times. And we've also talked about how you don't know you have a line until it gets crossed.
I wrote a song about that some time ago, actually.
So, sorry, Melissa. I was watching porn, and
Cheers.
and it was all well and fine. It was some pretty tame stuff. Girls on her knees. She's filleting the gentleman, and then he reaches down and he grabs her face, squeezes her mouth open, and he hard spits into her mouth. And I have never been more disgusted in my life. That it was a weird line cross for me, and I just thought I would share that with you.
Don't pretend like this is the first time you've encountered that, friend.
It's not the first time, but it's the first time in a good long while because I don't go out of my way to try and find it.
I was going to say the only time that should really make you that disgusted is if he's spitting with his butthole. Sorry, Stephen. So I've mentioned previously, I don't think I've actually said it on the podcast proper, but I have gotten somewhat attached to Uncle Roger these days, and it has started to permeate my life. And so the sorry children is something that I feel like I want to start incorporating into the show whenever I go off the rails as per usual. So yeah, I think that's going to become a bit that I steal.
I've co-opted your small bow at work.
Thank you. You mentioned that it's gaining in popularity.
It's a hit with the idiots. So,
As am I. But yeah, so now instead of sorry children, though, it's going to be sorry Stephen. Anytime
Sorry,
we
Stephen.
get risque.
Sorry,
Melissa knows me, and she's prepared for the crises that is going to meet her when she listens to this show. By
Yeah,
the
I
way,
guess-
she
I guess-
also I'm sorry, John. I'm
No,
just
no,
gonna
no, you're
keep
fine,
talking
you're
over
fine,
you. She sang your praises for the purity culture episode again, Courtney. So we're just
You're
going to
not gonna
keep
let
telling
this
you.
go, are you?
No, it's a lot of people were very impressed, and we have one of them on the line. So I'm going to make Stephen give us his feedback. But John, you had something you were going to say.
oh no, it wasn't productive as usual. I think I was gonna say something to the effect of I didn't trigger warning Steven in case it was a triggering event. And
Okay.
I probably should have done that because I feel like I know Steven, but I don't at all. He knows a lot more about me than I know about him at this
It's a
point.
very fine point.
I just know that he
Accurate.
is a lovely coworker from what you've said. So
Mhm. Yes. He's a marvelous man, that's Stephen. So yeah, Stephen, tell Courtney what you felt about, because you did point out that she got you real good with a lie, even though you were familiar with the source material.
It was, so my issue, it's not an issue, it's I get too entertained with the show, and I forget that I'm supposed to be picking out lies. So, at one point you mentioned, the book that Josh Harris wrote, and I was like, she got the name wrong. How could she get the name wrong? She got the author right. What's up with this? He's like, I know the book.
Oh yeah.
It's very infamous, shall we say.
Yes.
Like, Courtney, you're a horrible researcher.
So my
not
brain
mad,
did not
he's just
automatically click,
disappointed.
oh, she's lying, obviously. It's the point of the whole podcast. Nope, my brain's like, why did she get it wrong? What's going on here? But yes, I was raised very much
I
in that
love it.
whole oeuvre of purity culture. I even had my own purity ring back in the day.
oh wow.
Ew.
Yeah.
You were also homeschooled, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, I'm sure we could talk about that. I was homeschooled K through 12, baby.
Oh boy, I escaped for the last 2 years. I went to a very, very tiny charter school, so I did have some exposure to, actual humanity, but it was fairly limited.
Though I will probably say the two of you actually probably had sex before I did, so...
If you care to disclose, we can just settle this right now.
I'm sure Steven's going to be tickled by that one. Sorry.
I said if you care to disclose. If you don't, that's entirely your business.
Yeah, please tap out.
18.
Yeah, well before me.
By 10 years.
I didn't technically officially really kiss somebody until I was 17.
Okay. I mean,
There's a story for you. I was waiting for my high school girlfriend, and she'd made a big thing of it. And I told you this story before, didn't I, John?
I don't think so.
So I went back to go to her senior prom while I was also a senior, and we'd kind of had this whole thing building up. We'd really technically been like sweet on each other since we were 15. And so I go back and I go to the dance. I see all of my old friends. It was a really weird, emotional kind of roller coaster of a weekend for me. And so I walk her up to her door after the dance, and the first kiss is going to happen. And I've waited all this time, and I've made this big deal. And she kissed me like a corpse. She didn't
How does
use
a corpse kiss?
She didn't use her lips at all. It was as though they were like spot welded to her teeth. So she kissed me with her teeth. She just ground her face into my face.
Maybe.
And I was officially disgusted, and I went, I am so glad that I didn't marry this person because I can only imagine what the sex would have been like.
Or maybe that was like her version of like the poop hole loophole, but with kissing. You know, like if she kissed you with her teeth instead of her lips, then it didn't really count.
Man, I hope not.
Oh, you are Catholic. My first 2 boyfriends were Catholic, and that's like right on target.
There's a lot of things you can sneak by God. Apparently, he's not very observant.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a bunch of priests that have been practicing that principle for quite some time.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just gonna watch Steven be mortified this entire episode. So
he's Job Bluth right now, just going, I have made a serious mistake.
This was a bad call.
I want more first kiss stories now.
Kiss me. What?
Oh gosh.
Michael, you still haven't been kissed, right?
Your mom doesn't count.
Does your mom count, though?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I'm still charting numbers.
Well, she was wearing a sheet, a dental dam, so it doesn't really count.
What were you at a Klan rally?
Jesus Christ. I also had a thought, and it hit me upside the head last night because I was watching Insidious Chapter 2, which Shane had loaned me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wait,
God,
you actually watched something Shane loaned you? You didn't return it to him
Yep.
unwatched and unread?
Yeah.
Called
Yep.
out.
I'm almost done with it too, and then I have to watch Tusk again. But I keep thinking about Courtney and how she's been dipping her toes into horror, and I think I have an experiment, and if she would like to partake, it would be a lot of fun. There is a podcast on Gimlet called The Scaredy Cats Horror Show, and it is one host who is just a huge fan of scary movies, and one who cannot handle them at all. And it's 5 episodes, one movie, or one of them has 2 per episode. So I think, 1, Courtney, you should just listen to that podcast. And 2, if you want to watch the movies on that podcast, you can come over and we'll keep all the lights on. And you
Can I hold all the dogs?
And you can hold all the dogs.
Would you stop propositioning our co-host, please?
Nope. Well, because Shane, you'll be tickled by this. Maybe Steven too. I'm not sure.
I'm
how
not
you feel
propositioning
about,
her either.
Scary movies. But the movies in question would be The Exorcist, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Alien,
Ooh.
Hereditary, and Midsommar, and then Get Out.
Okay.
Oh, I've seen Get Out.
Okay, so you're already one off the list.
Yeah, it's Michael's autobiography, right?
If I had a nickel every
Destiny's.
time I heard that.
Get out of me, I'm going to throw up, yes.
But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up, and you can let that marinate if you will.
I
And
think I actually heard the first episode of about from that podcast. I think
Ooh.
are they related at all to the Reply All podcast?
they are. It's the host of Reply All.
Perfect. So I listened to the first one and I was like, I kind of want to watch The Exorcist, but I'm really afraid.
The thing is that it's a lot more fun to watch movies like that with friends or in the theater, and that's. I think I was thinking of it because I was watching Insidious Chapter 2, and in the back of my head I was like, I remember liking this in the theater, and right now everything is falling flat for me. Like I have 30 minutes left, and I was just cackling at how poorly written the movie is. But I was like, well, in the theater it was fun because, you know, you have everyone screaming at things that you don't scream at, or, you know, the comedic bits that are supposed to be funny that I don't think are funny. Like, you're getting cues from other people that, you know, it was intended to be funny. I don't know.
Yeah, it plays a little differently, but yeah, Insidious, the franchise in general, is definitely the law of diminishing returns for me personally.
Yeah.
Speaking of podcasts that we adore, that John is proselytizing, I stole something from you last week when we were recording, and I have completed it. So I officially made it through the last book on the left, and I was very tickled by it.
So you ended up liking it at the end, huh?
I liked it the whole time. I just started skipping over the bad commentary
bobbleheads,
at
yeah.
certain points. But, I mean, they're funny. There were some bits that were really fantastic. But it was a nice refresher. I had actually read full books on the bulk of the individuals contained in there, so it was kind of like a Cliff's Notes of things for me. But
the illustrations were worth it alone, I think.
The Russian gentleman whose name I'm just going to be completely spacing on. No, he's the second to the last one in the book, so I don't think you would have read it yet either. But
I haven't, no.
He actually killed like 50 people over in Russia and cannibalized a few of them. Yeah, he was pretty disturbing, I will admit. But so thank you for letting me steal that, and I might just have to take Raven with me next time.
Yeah, I bet you'll finish it in a week.
I tend to... it's weird that spurs me to start reading again, because I had gotten kind of like disenfranchised for a bit and wasn't really into it. Then I'm like, oh yeah, serial killers. I'll read this again. I'm back at it.
I would almost say that instead of borrowing Raven, that you should just take the fact that you liked the last book on the left and then listen to the 5-part series they did on Jonestown, because that was their party, if you will, for hitting episode 300.
Okay.
And it is a very well-produced, what is it, almost 8 or 10 hours on Jonestown?
Okay. Well, color me intrigued.
And I think that I think I've re-listened to those episodes maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's why I bought Raven, because that's what they used for most of the research. Might be worth a check. Also, if there's another thing to get you into Last Pod outside of the book, it would be their JFK conspiracy series.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued enough, and I think their research seems sound.
If you can just get past Henry Zabrowski, I don't think you'd like him, but both of the other co-hosts, I think, are your speed.
I mean, there's a lot of WWE references, though.
That is Ben Kissel, who you are going to know and love soon.
I'm sure. Well, and then, so Henry's the Satanist, yeah? I actually enjoyed his jokes more than Kissel's in many instances. So
he is the voice actor in the podcast. So when there are there's a lot of like he'll do quotations and he'll read the quotations and he'll make the characters. So
what you're saying is I won't like the Shane of their podcast.
That's exactly what I'm
saying. We do tend to eschew our own. There can only be one.
But yeah, the only other thing that I had for you guys, and then my list is all depleted, because usually I don't come in with a list written out, but I wanted to make sure that I remembered things, is that Shane and I played a gig over the weekend up north, and it was our first time going up north for a show in a very, very long time. Even pre-COVID, we hadn't been up in a minute.
Indeed, and we had a glorious co-host with us as well, so bless you, Michael, for making the trek.
It was worth it.
You were very affectionate by the end of that show. You were shossed.
Yes.
You said you loved me.
I did?
You did, and then you touched my nipple.
I think that last part was a fabrication.
It was my cock.
Yeah, Michael and I were having sex while that was happening.
Yeah, so I couldn't be touching your nipple when I was fucking Shane. So
you could be.
I need both hands.
Don't we all?
Okay. Anyway, so it was. Are you all right there?
I'm leaving. I'm going back into the closet.
Don't leave me here alone.
Save me.
So we finished up the gig. I drove up. Like we took my vehicle, and I agreed to drive up. Shane agreed to be the DD and drive back down, so that the folks at Imbibe could enjoy themselves. And also, I was pretty tired. Well, I think I was really haggard when I showed up to Shane's house to pick them up. Anyway, neither here nor there.
And the show wasn't exactly the easiest thing to nail the dismount on.
At the end of the day, it was fun, but it was another like trial by fire moment where you're figuring things out in real time and you're almost failing constantly.
Yep.
I honestly thought at one point you were going to start fighting some person that was like asking you a question between sets.
Oh,
is the Taylor guitar guy?
I just see John leaning
guitar you
forward
got?
and just like saying into the mic, "Yeah, we're damn the weather." Instead of like talking to the guy, you were just answering into the mic.
Shane, being my constant friend and lover, I think he saw what almost was returned to piss drunk Irish John without me being drunk or even having a sip of alcohol, because I was leaning into Shane being like, I think I'm gonna fucking kill one of these guys.
Yeah. You and I were both on the verge of you were gonna turn into Mustache again, and I was gonna turn back into like Payson Shane, where I will recommend to the audience they shut their fucking mouth or I'll curb stomp them.
Yeah.
I would have laughed so hard if you did that.
The funniest thing is, and I haven't even gotten to my note. It's just the preamble to the note here.
Gosh.
Becky, or my wife Becky, she came up with us too, and she had a very astute observation, and it's something that I think Sam, Shane, and I are pretty blind to now because you get used to it. But especially when we've played up north, there is always the same. It's the same story every time. You show up, and everybody in the vicinity is giving you a look of, did you fuck my fucking mom last night? Or did you kill my cat? And like these people, like the town folk generally do not like us on appearance alone at all. And then
they look at us the way that people looked at Ed Gein in Plainfield.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the general, ambiance.
Yeah, and then we start playing a few songs, and then by the end of set 1, they want us to marry their daughter. And Becky made a comment because she was walking back to the car with me to grab some equipment. She goes, "I was not aware that I fucked their dad so hard behind their back." Like she just brought it to my attention again. I just think it's hilarious every time. But anyway,
yeah, they don't like the city folk
they do
there.
not. We finished the show. We have some friends up north, and they were there, and they convinced us to head to a bar to have one drink before we headed back down the mountain. And Shane obliged, and he took us to the only late night bar in Cottonwood. And what is it, like 10, 11 maybe? No, it was like 10 o'clock. It was relatively early.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was like maybe 10:20, I think, when we got
When
there.
we get in, they didn't warn us. They're playing, it's bingo night.
Hell yeah.
I have never played
Living it
bingo
up.
since I've been an adult. Like,
You've
I've never played
got
bingo
to, like,
for
bingo
stakes.
after dark at the casino?
No.
Oh, that's really fun.
So
Yeah, no, I've had sex before. I don't need
Yeah, but
to,
have you won $300 while having sex?
Yes, actually.
yeah, because he's getting
It's a
paid.
strange story. So anyway, Taiwan's a weird country.
So we all sit down, and the funniest thing is the people that invited us to come sit down and have a drink with them had a booth to themselves with literally no room for us, and they're like, come bring a table. And I was like, we're not going to be the assholes that are moving tables around. We're just going to sit down, we're going to have a drink, and we're going to enjoy each other's company, and then we're just going to fuck off. But Becky and Sam decided that we were all going to play bingo.
Nice.
Oh, it gets better.
So we sit down, and it is just, it's like there was a Karen facility that was like right down the street, and they were just pumping out Karens left and right for this bingo night, because it was every shade of Karen sitting at a long, long table. What, like 25 mothers and daughters.
It looked like a wedding party,
Yeah.
basically.
They were basically just licking things off the table, saying, COVID what? And the gal who was running bingo actually was the shit. She was awesome.
Yes.
What she kept calling anything with a 6 was sex.
Oh.
She's like, I got
So it's 63.
Oh.
Oh, 63.
sex.
Crazy.
I don't know what. I think we ordered a round, sat down, and that was about like 5 minutes. 3 minutes later, Sam Camacho, in her
Camacho.
best raspy voice, This bitch won.
She got that
And she
bingo.
won what, like $120 or $160?
It was like 115 or something, I think, is what she got.
That
yeah.
was the number one.
Dang.
She got the
That was
grand
the
prize of the
number one
evening.
Whoa.
And if
Jeez.
you thought that's up north folk hated us city folk, just oh my god,
Yeah, the confirmation was definite and immediate.
Yeah, you just like reinforced that the Democrats are stealing from the conservatives.
Oh, yeah, and then what made it even better is that I won
you did.
immediately after.
But what did you win, Shane?
I got a pair of sunglasses I left in John's car that I desperately, and they are Tito's
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
Classy.
Yes.
that goes right with your
Make my
aesthetic,
mother
yeah.
proud. Yes. So I'll be, bringing those back with me. But I also discovered something on the ride back. I finally discovered what our demographic is.
Okay.
Because you've never heard a human being laugh so hard at me saying, "Welcome back to the Disinformed podcast on the tubes of you," than John's wife. Becky lost her shit.
She was very,
And she's
very
like, "The
tickled.
tubes of you." So she was really either really drunk or I'm really funny.
I think it was a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Also, she can't hang. We talked. I think was it we talked last week about the shit that you do to your body when you're just a busy day on the road. So we stopped at the McDonald's right off of Camp Verde.
Oh man, and there's a
At
story.
like 11:30. At 11:30, and we got the 40 nugget 4 medium fries
So-
box.
Allow me to illustrate this, and then I'll let you continue, John, because I feel like this is a story in and of itself. So I told John I would partake of the food, but I didn't want to order it. So if we're gonna go to McDonald's, like someone else needs to order the food.
Yes.
We pull up to the thing, and then an immediate discussion begins as to what food we're getting. And Sam is her usual just shit-faced, and Becky is a little tingly, and John's doing pretty well.
I was fine.
for the most
if
part.
I wasn't
Yeah,
exhausted, I would have been totally good to just.
Yeah, so everyone's calling out different nuggets, and it just so happens, as I told Steven as we were cruising to snag dinner, they have a meal that has 40 chicken nuggets and 4 medium fries. And so everyone was planning on ordering nuggets anyway, so I'm like, okay, well, this will make it easy. I'll just order that. And then I ordered, and unfortunately was hoisted on my own petard, because immediately then it turns, "Do you want any sauces?" And I turn back to the group, and everyone begins in a cacophonous din, and Becky said honey, and then I thought, okay, honey mustard, right?
Like a normal person.
That's a reasonable, and yes, like a human being who actually enjoys the taste of their chicken parts, I should
your
say.
chicken sludge.
And so I ordered honey mustard and barbecue, and then
Both.
Sam immediately begins to scream at me with Becky, "No, it's honey. We need to get honey." And they both proceeded to yell
For like
honey
10 fucking
for at
seconds.
least 30 seconds. It felt like a lifetime. So I turn around, not into the car, mind you. I turn to look at Sam, who's sitting behind me as I'm in the driver's seat, and I say, "Would you shut your cocksucking mouth so I can order this?" At which point, the monitor for the McDonald's went dead. And I'm fairly certain, as John and I would both, John will attest, I think they were all just cackling, laughing at the fact that I had to regulate on the drunk cunts in the
Yes,
car.
very
And,
much so.
yeah. So we had a real awkward exchange with the folks that were giving us the food when we got up to the window. Anywho, John, please continue.
Oh no, that was basically the gist of the story.
Well, you said Becky can't
Oh,
hang.
Becky can't hang
So-
because that food ended up fucking up her stomach. She was haggard for 2 days straight, whether it was a hangover or just. I think her exact verbiage was, "I haven't had anything green in 24 hours, and I feel like I'm gonna fucking die." We got into the car after getting back to your house, and she was like, "I do not feel good," and I was like, "Well, yeah, you drank a lot." And she goes, "No, like that food just is not settling." I was like, "Oh," and then again, Buster Scruggs has been our chorus lately. It's like, first time.
First time? Yep. Welcome to being a musician.
Yeah. And then I proceeded to eat just like dog shit this entire rest of the week, to the point where Michael did bring a Hungry Howie's pizza today. A big sausage
I'm very
pizza.
upset. Yeah, well, the shit you put on it would make it, inedible. So I'm glad y'all enjoyed it.
Oh, we didn't even eat any of it.
We just have it here
It's
on
just
That's
sitting
spite.
there.
later times.
It's just part of the ambiance.
Yeah. I should have just put it on
Save me a slice. I'll
I
be
still
there.
have my keyboard stand. I should have just brought the keyboard stand and put the box right here so you could see it the entire time.
And then made a name tag that said Shane.
Yep. This is what see, but the podcast was sponsored by Jimmy John's as well as Hungry Howie's this evening.
All
so
right.
we're all good. It's fine.
Oh,
But,
and over on
since,
this side, we have coffee adding to our ambiance, or specifically
Ooh.
my ambiance.
I like it.
I have a work coffee pot, John. That's how dedicated I am.
I'm cutting
In my office.
I'm cutting back and you're ramping up. I love it.
So, since the other two hosts of the podcast never get to speak,
Oh, well, I was going to say, speaking of fast food, I posted something on the chat a couple days ago, a very stupid question, and I wanted to ask this on air. So, everyone knows what Dark Souls is, right? The game? Yeah?
Yeah.
Sure do.
All right, cool.
I'm not sure Steven's going to be weighing in on that. but,
What's a soul?
That's
Ooh,
well,
good
that's a deeper question I want to answer
It's
right
something
now.
the
but-
priest sucks out of you.
or you suck
Steven,
into
have you
the
found
priest?
God yet?
I am God, and I found myself, so yes.
Indeed, the most great and wonderful pearl, as told to
gosh.
me by a great
Mother of pearl.
playwright.
Oh no, we're not going to bring that up, are we?
Too late.
So,
Anywho, Michael, go on.
very quickly, Dark Souls is a video game, obviously, and it is known for being very difficult. Where there's a whole culture of gamers that say, like, get good. You should be good at this game. You should, even if you can't suck, you have to be able to be good at it. But anyway, so that kind of spawned a meme of, well, this new game is the Dark Souls of this genre or this genre. Like, this new game is the Dark Souls of speed racing or something like that. So I thought, what is the Dark Souls of fast food? And I just wanted to ask that on air.
I have a hot take for you, Michael.
Ooh, okay.
This is only going to make sense to me and all of the other introverts out there. To me, the Dark Souls of fast food is Dutch Brothers.
Ooh, okay.
True.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
Because I am forced to both be sociable and state my present sugary and caffeinated vices to a very attractive either male or female who are in their mid-20s and just screaming at me out of a window.
Hi, welcome to Dutch Bros. What's your blood type? What's your sign?
I'm halfway in your
Does your
car.
mother love you? I actively have to make up the most bizarre and ludicrous answers to their questions just to get them to stop talking to me. I've just started to try to make it as awkward as possible. Like, what are you doing today? Oh, disposing of the bodies they found over on the Interstate 12.
Or it's like that video I showed Courtney. I think I showed you, or I showed all you guys last week with the raccoon. It's like if we were to cut this raccoon open, how many fingers would we find inside?
None?
Pretty much.
I got 2 fingers for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a slick shamer.
Pretty much. So there, that was the only thing I could come up with that is difficult for me to just exist on the planet. That Dutch Brothers, to me, Dark Souls.
I was going to
of
say
fast
like
food.
a Tilio Bertos.
Okay.
Like not a Filibertos,
What?
but any of
That
the
would be
Bertos.
the Yarnum of fast food, my friend.
Like hard in the way of like it's hard to eat or it's hard to be alive after you finish it.
Yeah, you can't digest it. For Becky, it's McDonald's apparently.
Yeah. Or Los Faves down the street. But actually they're dope. I like them.
Their
yeah,
breakfast
I
burritos
like
are
those
solid.
faves. Yeah.
Well, furthermore, to show how you and I gamed up the system, though, John, is that she was reeling from that. You and I ate macaroni and cheese that had pulled pork on top of
And
it,
it was
and
cold.
then we ate McDonald's.
Yeah,
So
Ooh.
yeah, we just devastated our intestinal tract.
Oh, I
that
expected
entire night.
I fully expected the next day to be in a lot of pain, but I woke up I was like, "Huh, it's a beautiful day."
Yeah, I was waiting to ship my soul out of my body, and it didn't happen. So you and I survived.
Still here. Yeah, if anything,
Getting back to it, baby.
if anything, it's like staring your stomach, it's like who blinks first. It's like I'm
I'm not stopping.
I'm going to brute fuck you into
I'm playing
complying.
chicken with my body.
Steven, what do you think?
As Shane and I were discussing earlier, I'm not a connoisseur of fast foods, and
Oh, you
I
think you're
don't
better
eat
than
out
us?
much. No, I am a very well
He's
dyed-in-the-wool
popular with the
introvert,
ladies.
and I try to avoid all social interactions whenever possible.
What do you do for fun?
Not a lot.
Sadism.
I watch movies. I just recently got into doing drawing and artwork, so that takes up a significant portion of my free time.
I've seen some of your work.
Amazing.
I liked
Well,
it a
thank
lot.
you. It's appreciated.
You're welcome.
But I read lots of audiobooks. I do lots of different podcasts and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Cool. What is your current favorite movie? Because it seems like you are not Michael, and you actually will have an answer to this question.
Strangely enough, though, since I'll give you a moment to vamp on that, Steven. Steven has not been exposed to a great deal of movies because he lived in a very repressive Christian household.
Heyo.
That is accurate.
So he's got to
Okay.
catch up with a lot of stuff. So he is very similar to Michael in that he won't have seen many things you would have expected him to see.
That's fair, though, but I find that really exciting, though, because there's a lot of movies and games and TV shows, etc., that I wish that I could experience for the first time, and the only real way that you can experience them for the first time is to have somebody in your life that gets to experience it for the first time.
To have been cucked by God.
Yeah.
One of my kind of go-to favorite movies for a long time has been American Beauty, but of course with the
Really?
Kevin Spacey
Before
stuff,
before he's a monster.
less so interesting. But yeah, that's one of my favorites generally. I like most of Christopher Nolan's stuff, so I'll
Awesome.
say Inception is pretty high up on my list.
You're still a Back to the Future kid.
Oh yes, yes. Back to the Future is definitely one of my all-time favorite movies. Jurassic Park would be in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
What was a? I'm not trying to turn this into the interview of Steven, but
Yes, you are.
I kind of am. I want to get to know the guy that listens to
Yeah.
our voices so much.
Yeah, why are you like this? Why do you keep coming back?
Yeah.
You hate
Well,
yourself.
I mean, he has to get
You
paid,
heard about his
so
upbringing.
he's listening
Oh,
to me
fair.
through
I
a
get it.
Trisha.
Yes, that's the real reason.
What was a movie or a piece of media when you were growing up in the household you were raised in that your parents were like, no? Like what was strictly forbidden? Like, is there like one in your memory? Like for me, I remember like my parents finding a burnt copy of Nirvana's Nevermind and my dad losing his fucking mind because of Kurt Cobain killing himself, allegedly.
Trigger warning.
I was indoctrinated and brainwashed at a very, very young age, and my parents raised me in such a way that I was self-policing myself, and I could tell something my parents would not approve of, so I would purposely not seek those things out and try to watch them and expose myself to them. The only one that I really have a distinct memory, a couple that I have a distinct memory of, is Star Wars. I got really into the Star Wars books and things, and I really wanted to watch Star Wars, and this is when I was like 10 years old. And my parents were like, no, you're not allowed to watch Star Wars until you're 16, because they're too violent and scary and stuff. But eventually, my brother and I convinced them to let us watch them probably when we were 12, and we managed to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters when it came out. So that was an exciting turn of events. But also Jurassic Park was another one that they were like, no, you'll hate dinosaurs. You guys love dinosaurs as a kid. But if you watch Jurassic Park, you'll be so scared that you'll never like them anymore. And it's one of my favorite movies now, so.
Did you like my Jurassic Park updates when I did them? Or are you familiar with that Twitter account?
God, he's always fishing for compliments.
I really am.
Where?
I mean, some of them were good, but...
Anyway, you're saying Courtney?
Oh,
Don't patronize him.
Were you allowed to read Harry Potter?
No, I did not read Harry Potter until I was 18.
Beautiful.
And my girlfriend at the time was a big fan of Harry Potter and was saying, you have to read this book! So I was like, okay, sure, I'll read it. I'm an adult now, I can do what I want. My parents will just have to deal with it. So I read it and I was like, yeah, fun book.
Did you send a picture of yourself holding the first book and the middle finger up and like send it to your parents?
No, I did not.
You can't tell me what to do now.
He would have caught on fire. That's not allowed, John.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this makes me just think of like that picture with the caption of him going, "The wand chooses the wizard, Mom."
Man, so Prayers and Miracles must have been really fun for you then.
Oh, yes, yes.
He's the one who recommended it, as I recall.
Yes, he
Okay.
was.
Yeah, another YouTuber I was following did a brief synopsis of the series, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is hysterical. and I recommended it to Shane. Say, hey, you should do the full reading of this as opposed to just a summary. And yeah, it hits all the right points of that whole subculture.
It really does.
Proud housewife.
Well, thank you, Steven. I am really happy that you're here. It's good to actually see the face and hear the voice.
I'm glad to be here. It is an experience, I will say.
I'm just going to throw this on the
just...
record real quick. He does sound exactly like Jonah, right? Steven has the same voice.
Huh?
I'm going to patently disagree with that.
It's not a bad thing. It's doing all the right things for me.
Oh, that's why you're
That's
saying
what's
that.
going
Okay,
on.
okay.
Steven is single, so I mean, this
Turn your
is,
camera off,
you know.
Steven. You don't want to get involved with
Got a
this.
case of the vapors.
He does have that top button undone, so I mean, we're...
Whew.
I am coming undone.
And speaking of coming undone, so is the general theme of this podcast, and allow me to unravel it for you. So for the listeners out there who are blissfully unaware, and since Steven is here, that makes most of you, we will occasionally delve into a random esoteric topic, and in the course of explaining it to one another, we will leaven in the occasional lie, just to make the show vibrant and entertaining. And hopefully it works, depending upon your circumstances and your perspective. This week, we are in the midst of an ongoing saga that is brought to us by the king of Harlan, Kentucky, Colonel Harlan Sanders. It's Corbin, Kentucky. I misspoke. My brain just transferred in the wrong place. Thank you. Is everybody still, full bore on
Oh, yeah.
the life and crimes
By
of
all
Colonel
means.
Sanders going
Dip
forward?
me a vat of
'Cause,
gravy. Let's do this.
I'm on a roll with this
Ooh.
one. I love it.
Okay, well, depending upon how this evening goes, there's probably going to be a part 4. I hate to break it to you, because there's still so much material.
We are now the
But what I will tell
Disinformed
you,
Sanders cast.
we're getting there, because this man is, I'm not kidding, he's a bloody onion.
But have you reached out to KFC to see if you can get this episode sponsored by them?
Well, wait until we get to episode 4, because I don't think they're going to approve.
I don't think they're ready for our listenership.
We're too big for them.
We're already devoted to Taco Bell, so I mean, it's kind of a natural transition.
How does a man approach the famous bowl?
I mean, with a spork.
And sadness.
Indeed. Well, I will tell you that I am supremely excited because this evening I told Steven I get to introduce you all to a slew of Southern idioms that I was not heretofore familiar with. And it's going to make you... One in particular that I stumbled across from good old Colonel Sanders that I love is, he's so stupid he couldn't pour piss out of a boot with instructions written on the heel.
Okay.
All right.
So we're about to get real interesting. So for this third installment with Colonel Sanders, I have 7
Oh my god.
lies
Ooh.
for you folks. So, and we're going to get Steven in a full baptism by fire for the second time in his life. It'll be a good experience for all involved. So is everybody ready?
Give it to me.
Well, when we last left Harlan Sanders, our hero had been operating under the abiding belief that his North Corbin restaurant would remain successful indefinitely. In keeping with his luck prior to this point, it appears he was yet again walking on the eggshells of prematurely hatched plans. Because in what amounted to the largest public works project America had ever seen, President Dwight Eisenhower signed the National Interstate and Defense Highways Act, authorizing the expenditure of $25 billion to construct over 40,000 miles of the interstate highway system in 1956. Subsequently, the Sanders Hotel and Restaurant Complex had already begun to struggle to sustain business. The Kentucky government had relocated a key junction on Route 25, and Sanders' location was no longer as convenient for travelers to visit. The colonel discovered he was in dire straits when the newspaper published surveyed routes for the newly designated birthing canals of American commerce, freeways. Interstate 75 in Kentucky would replace Route 25 as the local egress and furthermore would pass 7 miles outside of Corbin. With the irrecoverable loss of income from passers-by, Sanders sold the property for cents on the dollar. Cresting gently towards 70, as I believe he was 65 at this point,
Jesus.
our foul-mouthed foul fricasseer was destitute yet again, with little income outside the few franchise fees and his $105 monthly Social Security check. Yipes.
Big spender.
So he was
this
a
man
very,
is...
very late bloomer.
Indeed, and he has just been perpetually beaten about the head and shoulders by fate his entire life, and it's not changing now, but he does have a lovely mistress that he can continue to maintain as his wife from this point forward.
Bertha.
Well, that is his pressure cooker, but...
I thought that was the donkey.
No, I don't think the donkey
That
had
was-
a name.
It's called John.
Oh.
It me. He slides in and out.
So, refusing to resign himself to despondency, he is quite a resolute asshole, as John would like to point out.
Tip-to-tail piece of shit.
Indeed. Sanders began aggressively courting chicken franchisees through dedicated efforts, traveling the U.S. looking for agreeable restaurants to partner with. Having closed his North Corbin site, Harland and Claudia opened a new restaurant and company headquarters in Shelbyville in 1959. Often resigned to sleeping in the back of his trusty Oldsmobile, Sanders visited restaurants, offered to cook his famous chicken, and negotiated franchise rights with amenable restaurateurs. His pitch process was brilliantly refined, and he employed his southern charm to devastating effect. He brought with him everything he needed to demonstrate his process: a clutch of chickens from a local farm, cake flour, his newly patented pressure cookers. Sanders obtained a patent in 1962, subsequently trademarking the phrase, "It's Finger Lickin' good," in 1963. So, hooray for that.
Is that bullshit?
It is not.
Oh.
That was one of the few ideas he came up with on his own, apparently.
Yay!
And then a box of pre-mixed spices, vegetable oil, and fire extinguishers. Very important when you got old Bertha on the rounds with you.
But were they grease fire extinguishers or regular ones?
I don't think they'd made those class distinctions back in the 60s, but what are you going to do?
It's not going to end well.
Yeah, certainly not. You could try to pee on it, I suppose. He then fried his chicken for the staff at the respective restaurants, and if they consented, he would then cook a quantity for their customers as well. He would then stroll through the restaurant, inquiring how diners were enjoying their meals, decked out in full regalia he'd come to be famed for: his silver goatee, black string tie, cane, and a pristine white suit harkening back to his days riding the rails. The work was considerably taxing on the almost 70-year-old Sanders, causing considerable cantankerousness, as you would expect. He has such a pleasant disposition normally anyway. You can't imagine being on the road all the time would make that a problem, right?
What's a grouchy Sanders to do?
Well, let me tell you. One unknown morning in some unknown town, I like that this is... I have to give credit. I got this from a gentleman who apparently also recorded a lot of these stories for another podcast, but it came out in like 2016. But it's linked as a source in the show notes in the previous 2 episodes and as this one. So you can go and... I give a lot of credit because the research is brilliant and I stole and kind of rewrote a lot of it. But this is fantastic. So... he and Claudia stopped at a diner in this nameless town for some breakfast. When the waitress set the Colonel's plate before him, he blanched at the flaccid, undercooked eggs he had been proffered. "Miss," he said, "I was never drunk enough to eat eggs raw as that, and I asked that they be turned over." "That's right, you did," she said. "I'll take 'em right back." She was gone for a few moments, and then returned with the plate. The eggs indeed looked more thoroughly cooked, though the Colonel reckoned this to be a physical impossibility, given the amount of time that had elapsed. Flipping the eggs over, he confirmed his suspicion. One side was still untouched by the grill. The cook had merely flipped them over on the plate.
Bullshit.
Not bullshit.
Oh,
Oh, I
No.
love that.
In the kitchen, the cook was sitting on a table smoking a cigarette when the double swinging doors burst open to reveal a curiously dressed man. The intruder was wearing a white linen suit, black string tie, and a silver goatee. He had a breakfast plate in hand. "You simple son of a bitch," Sanders said. "Are you so goddamn bumfuzzled that you missed the griddle on both attempts?" "Don't call me a son of a bitch," the cook said, standing up from the table. "Oh, you'll think you're just smart flipping these eggs over on my plate," Sanders insisted. "Get out of my kitchen," the chef replied. "You ain't allowed in here." "You shouldn't be allowed in here either," Sanders continued. "As a cook, you're as confused as a fart in a fan factory." "I said get," screamed the cook. "I'll do just that," Sanders said, tipping the eggs from his plate into his upturned palm. "And leave your eggs with you." Harlan then cocked his arm and projected his breakfast at the lazy line cook, like multiple Migs whipping knuckle children at Clarice Starling.
Oh, Jesus. Am I
You're
the only
welcome.
one?
Probably.
Huh?
Okay. That was a
All right,
quality
then.
joke that no one appreciated as they should have.
This is me being exposed to Kissel, I guess. I'm just going to start making these bad references throughout the
I
show,
like it.
so you're welcome. I'm staying on my toes. The eggs sailed across the vast expanse, eventually erupting in an explosion of yolk at the center of the chef's chest. Back in the dining room, the patrons were startled as the kitchen doors burst outward, birthing Sanders back into the restaurant proper, holding a small stool like a fucking lion tamer. He was abruptly followed by the emerging chef, apoplectically menacing Harland with a sizable kitchen knife. Sanders began to disgorge a cornucopia of vulgarities relating to supernatural deities, bodily excretions, procreation, and the possible relation of the assailant's parents. Suspending his profane tirade momentarily to apologize to a pair of diners who were taken aback by the spectacle.
I'm sorry you had to see that buffoonery.
Indeed, it's like, I love that in protecting his life, it's like, "You motherfucking cocksucker." "I'm sorry, ma'am."
This is not directed at you, I assure.
Indeed. All right. So the grill man eventually gave up his attack and returned to the kitchen, having accomplished his intended intimidation. The colonel soon returned his stool to the floor, and with he and Claudia deciding they probably ought to take their dining business elsewhere. But not without one final volley from the Kentucky's reigning king of profanities, Chicken Lips. "Who licked the pink off your dick, you blundering tree stump?"
That is fake. That is...
You're right. The actual... now, a southern idiom is "who licked the red off your candy."
Oh.
So I adapted it to suit my own ends. But
Someone... sorry, it reminds me of something that someone said to me yesterday at work. They came up to order a drink, and I asked what size, because we do 4 ounce, 8 ounce, or a pint. And I was like, the biggest size I think was an 8 ounce. I was like, "Do you want a 4 ounce or an 8 ounce?" And he goes, "What do you think I'm here to do? Lick stamps?"
He sounds like fun.
He was a Chad.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, 8 ounce, please. He's like, "I learned it when I was in Australia." Drinking or the expression?
How to lick stamps? Like, that's what
I
I'm
don't know.
thinking.
I
Or
don't.
how to not curse.
I guess.
That's what you do when you go to Australia. You curb your cursing enthusiasm.
Boo.
Well, thank you. And there you go, John. You got your one for the evening.
Thank you.
Despite the slow initial progress in signing up franchisees, interest in Kentucky Fried Chicken began to improve in the late 50s and early 60s. Word had gotten out on these own-eaters. Word had gotten out regarding Pete Harmon's success, the gentleman from Utah, as you will recall, and by then he was doing brisk business at multiple locations. Colonel Sanders' company had also launched a number of innovative carry-out locations, which omitted the dining area. The food was packed into boxes and buckets so consumers could take it for home dinner, and the concept was proving popular. The Colonel's meticulously anachronistic attire and twinkle-eyed charm helped him gain a foothold via organic marketing. He began to visit local radio stations to tell his story, and occasionally he appeared on television talk shows and the occasional Christian revival circuit, orchestrated via the contacts he made at the aforementioned Australian cursing convention. His face and signature string tie were appearing on increasingly numerous signs and food packages, and people began to recognize him in public.
Like, who is this ornery asshole?
Indeed. I never liked the idea of using my photograph on things, he wrote in his autobiography. I had always referred to my face as my mug, but I did have a line drawing made for use in advertising, and when I saw it on the boxes containing my food, I nearly fainted. By 1962, there were hundreds of restaurants in North America sending fees to the 72-year-old Sanders, most of the deals sealed with a handshake and maintained on the honor system.
Is that bullshit?
That is not bullshit.
Wow.
For the man who had his concept initially created by someone else and simply pressured him into signing that puppy over, the franchise applicants eventually became so numerous that Sanders no longer had to make any sojourns to meet them. Rather, he cordially summoned them to his estate in Shelbyville, Kentucky, while Claudia sustained business by mixing and shipping spices to their array of partnered restaurants. Not a bad gig if you can get it.
I mean, I ship those spices all the time.
Indeed. She was a spicy lady, that Claudia.
Ooh,
Oh, hey, you have a Shane Weiser.
I cracked it open while you were talking about 8-ounces.
Right on.
It is a grape Waterloo for those of you playing the home game.
Mm.
It's tasty. I also have a coffee and a water here next to me as well, if you want to just dredge up all of my lubrication.
You dog, you.
Indeed. I'm a three-fisted drinker.
And a catheter under the table.
No, I'm just peeing on my shoes.
Hey, I have to
Oh,
record in
Michael,
that
I
room
thought-
tomorrow. You better not.
Michael, I thought you were gonna, show us your signature wit.
huh?
Catheter.
Damn near killed her.
There we go. I hate you.
Speaking
so
of jokes that are old, in October of 1963, a 29-year-old lawyer named John Y. Brown Jr. began to attempt to persuade Shotgun Sanders to part with his owning stake in his company. Brown had been working with Sanders as an upstart franchisee, but had his eyes on a more significant prize. Brown saw the brilliance in expanding upon a company that was making over $300,000 per year with a staff of 17.
Nice.
Holy
Ooh.
cow.
While Harland wasn't overly fond of paid advertising, Brown felt there was a fortune to be had by instituting an aggressive sales campaign. He convinced the Colonel to join him in a meeting with Jack Massey, a businessman from Nashville. Colonel, Massey said, you're 74 years old. You've developed a wonderful product in Kentucky Fried Chicken, and you've worked hard doing it. But now is the time for you to relax. Relaxing, as evidenced by the man's frenetic franchising stratagem and life proceeding to this point, was not among the Colonel's proclivities. A man will rust out quicker than he'll wear out, is a noted Sanders credo.
Makes sense.
Indeed. Not to be dissuaded, Brown and Massey buttered the Colonel like one of his famed biscuits, eventually convincing him to meet with Pete Harmon and some other longtime trusted franchisees to see how they felt about Sanders selling the company. To Harlan's surprise, they recommended he sell. This may have had something to do with the 25,000 shares of stock that Brown and Massey had offered each of these franchisees, along with seats on the board of directors. In a meeting that dragged until 2 o'clock in the morning, Sanders finally caved to a provisional deal. He would sell the company for $2 million and proceed to collect a $40,000 annual salary to remain as the quality controller and goodwill ambassador for the company. The agreement excluded a few regions that had already been promised to friends and family, including the fabled Canadas, which Sanders wanted to keep for himself. Sanders would later say that he had asked about getting some stock as part of the deal, but the buyers advised against it for tax reasons.
Also, like,
he elected to trust
goodwill.
them.
The guy who's just causing ruckuses everywhere he goes.
And just working on handshake deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently you can see what is on the horizon for our dear friend, the Colonel.
Yeah, what
Nothing
year
bad
was
could
this?
possibly happen.
This was 63.
Okay.
So we're clutching into 64 on the verge. It was October. So despite considerable consternation, Sanders signed the sales agreement and collected the first $500,000 installment from Massey and entrusted his life's work with the City Slickers. Sanders would hold the company's stock as collateral until the full $2 million was paid. He settled into the role of spokesperson, or sporksperson, if you've ever enjoyed their gravy, rather than the decision-maker, taking comfort in the new owner's reassurances that they wouldn't compromise on the quality of the business or the product.
Sure.
And
then they compromised.
Bummer.
and then the cannibalism started.
That's when the cannibalism started.
Sneaking human
Indeed.
fingers into the chicken nuggets.
How many fingers are in that raccoon?
It's an otter.
Is it an otter?
Yes.
Well, their shoes on the otter foot right now. In 1965, Sanders moved to Mississauga, Ontario, to oversee his Canadian franchises, and continued to collect franchise and appearance fees both in Canada and in the U.S.
Is the name of that town bullshit?
It is not.
Okay.
I just can't pronounce it properly, but yeah, it says Mississauga, like Mississippi, but with an ooga.
Aruga!
Okay, moving on. So, Steven with his first stab of the podcast. I'm very tickled. Well done, friend.
Oh, I have a couple that passed us up, but I'll bring them back around at the end.
Oh, no, just do it now.
I mean,
Ooh.
please
Yeah, go
speak
for it.
on it.
Oh.
Go for it.
You mentioned he was sleeping in the back of his car when he was taking these trips? When he was in his 60s? Is that bullshit?
That is not. He and his wife both did it occasionally.
Oh my god.
But yes, he just cruised around and slept in the back of his Oldsmobile.
Okay.
They were simpler times.
I suppose so. And hopefully it's a very large Oldsmobile.
Well, when you're trying to save money, he was also doing this with clutches of chickens, I'll remind you. So, it was a very entertaining time.
Yeah, what a fellow.
Yes, indeed. All right. Anything else there?
There was
Superfan
another one, but
Steven?
it has since slipped my mind. I'll let you know if it comes
Okay.
back.
Was he actually on like the evangelical circuit? Was that a thing, or did you just throw that in there?
Wow, something really weird happened to y'all's configuration because you now sound like aliens. But, anywho, I'll continue and we'll just soldier on. But Courtney, you asked me whether or not it was bullshit that he did the evangelical circuit, and it is. But wait, there's more. It gets even more entertaining. So there's a reason that was included as a lie. But we'll get there.
Oh,
Okay.
I remember what the other one was. The bucket meals. You talked about that last episode. Was that? I thought that was when they first initiated it. But now you're saying it's
The
initiated
gentleman
here?
created it. Well, the gentleman created it, but Sanders is the one who said that they removed the dining area and they were purely for pickup only.
Okay.
So he stole the bucket meal from the other gentleman, but he actually is the one who's just like, we don't need to have a seating area. We're just going to do a little setup mom and pop operation, basically just a kitchen, and people can come and collect it. So he's kind of the king of the drive-through, as it were.
Oh, so he was prepping for a pandemic.
You would think.
Pickup food only.
Well, now you sound better. Ish. No. You just need to whisper, apparently. Okay. So, he moved to Canada, as I mentioned, and he bought and lived in a bungalow at 1337 Melton Drive in the Lakeview area of Mississauga from 1965 until his death in 1980. So I'm thinking because I was born in 81, I might be Sanders reincarnated.
It makes all the sense.
It does.
Yes.
I'm with it. But in September of 1970, he and his wife were baptized in the Jordan River, owing to the Colonel's connections to famed televangelists Billy Graham and Jerry Falwell,
Oh, no.
whom he met during his various visits to tents on the revival circuit in the 1960s.
And guess what? I too have been baptized in the Jordan River, so I have that in common with Colonel Sanders.
Oh, look at you. But yes, he is actually close friends, a close and personal friend with Billy Graham and Jerry Falwell.
Oh, God.
Fine, upstanding citizens.
Indeed. So, as one would expect, compromises at the new Kentucky Fried Chicken Incorporation began almost immediately. The company, did I say the Kentucky Fried Incorporation, or
Yep.
did I
You
say
sure did.
Kentucky? Okay, well, it's the Kentucky Fried Chicken Incorporated.
So you're saying there are now 8
Holy
lies
monkeys.
in this episode?
No, I'm just
Get him,
a
Steven.
marble-mouthed goon from time to time. Yeah, this is why Steven is going to try presenting at
Oh
some
gosh.
point.
Ooh.
Steven.
I do not
Steven.
endorse this message.
Yes, you do. You want to talk about cryptids with us, I think. That was
That's an idea.
And Christian cryptids
Creationist
on top of it.
cryptids. Ooh-hoo-hoo.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I'm in.
All right. So, the company bought out many of the existing franchises, ordering the remaining owners to conform. Obey. All franchisees were required to remove their own menu items, rename their restaurant Kentucky Fried Chicken, update their decor to the red and white striped corporate branding, and use signage and packaging featuring the Colonel's goateed grin. These developments would sorely test Sanders' adherence to the Christian tenet of forgiveness of trespasses. The new advertising campaign was indeed aggressive and financially very lucrative. The Colonel appeared personally in television commercials as well as on The Johnny Carson Show, Lawrence Welk, and other such talk show spots. Wherever you see a picture of this mug of mine, you know you're going to get good food, he would say, or at least good chicken. Sanders was uneasy with the changes being made with the company, but he was paid to be a goodwill ambassador, so he spread goodwill.
Was the end of that quote bullshit? Or at least good chicken?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
What a guy.
Indeed. Although the sales contract had set aside Canada as the Colonel's own territory, legal minds in the new corporation soon realized that the wording left them a little wiggle room.
Oh,
So the contract granted the Colonel exclusive rights to process chicken in Canada, but no restrictions on merchandising it. So as long as they pre-processed the chicken, they would legally sell it in the Colonel's Canadian market.
That's amazing.
Damn.
Wow.
And by the way, you're back and sounding brilliant now, so I don't know what happened.
Thanks, I made it myself.
Indeed. At least good chicken. When the corporate officers later came to Sanders and asked him to hand over the collateral stock so the company could go public, he refused until they revised the sales contract to close that Canada loophole. In the meantime, he continued to spread goodwill on television, very likely through clenched teeth. Or hen's teeth, if you will. Jack Massey, the original $2 million investor who controlled 60% of the company's stock at the time, ordered the headquarters moved out of Colonel Sanders' expansive estate in Shelbyville to a new building in Tennessee. "This ain't no goddamn Tennessee fried chicken," the Colonel protested, "no matter what some slick silk-suited son of a bitch says." But seeing as Sanders had sold his company to the slick silk-suited sons of bitches in question, harsh language was about the only legal recourse he had available.
Was that quote of his bullshit?
No, it was not.
He literally said it's not called Tennessee
It's
fried
not Tennessee
chicken.
fried chicken. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
He's infinitely quotable, my friend. And that is what I have for part 3, because part 4 involves the booze battles.
Oh.
And a discussion about our good friends in Japan and their love and adoration for the Colonel and how it started.
So is part
Okay.
4 the conclusion?
Part 4 would be the conclusion.
Well, I mean, you
yes.
said
Well,
part
then
3 would be the conclusion last week, but
I mean, if you want me to go on for another hour, I am happy to continue
No,
talking. But
we need
yeah.
we need to keep it digestible, I think.
And that was
nice
my
fried
thought.
chicken.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, and I feel like this is the longest continuous series that we've had.
well, I mean, we've had like 9 Flat Earth episodes, right?
There were. It felt like
Ouch.
9.
Ouch.
Man, so I think what we got. I got one. Steven, you got one.
I don't
Right?
think I got one.
No, we didn't.
I
Nope.
got a lot of
We had
stabs in the
3.
dark.
Oh,
Courtney got 2. You
Oh,
got 1,
there
Mr.
we go.
Watkins. So,
well.
any other additional stabs or volleys?
Yeah,
I
Michael,
literally
you
have
can
nothing.
show up to this podcast.
Hello, I am here, and I'm Michael, and I don't
I'm
understand how
getting
this
you a
podcast
shirt.
works.
When we start marketing, once we move past the buttons, actually, I'll make a button that says, "And I'm Michael," and we'll just hand that out to everybody.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
And then "Raw, it's a living." That
No.
will have to be another.
Just make it be a parrot that has Michael's head, and then the thought or the speech bubble say it's a living.
Okay, I can do that. And then we have the Steven has the picture of Michael as a frog, so a hack and
Is
a
a frog and a
I
liar.
love that so much.
Yeah.
A liar and a frog.
Well, any other stabs, Michael? You got anything?
No.
All right.
I'm checking in for the first time here, apparently.
Good talk, Michael.
Bless
The
you.
guy that owned 60% of the stock, is the percentage incorrect?
It is not.
Okay.
All right.
I got nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
then we'll dive in with Shane's 7 lies. I think I may have prepped everybody for this, but lie number 1 is that he did not travel around with a clutch of chickens from local farms. He actually just had an icebox full of chicken in the back of the car, because who wants to actually slaughter these things on site?
Oh, that's fair, I guess. There is like hygiene.
I thought he just wanted pillows for when he was sleeping in the back.
I
So
mean, he
thought
did need
kept
something to
him alive.
fuck other than Claudia.
I mean, how else is a 70-year-old man supposed to get woken up in the morning until the rooster crows?
So
Yeah, he probably
dirty-
didn't believe in alarm clocks.
Or alarm cocks.
Thank you. Gonna get some dirty cock-on-cock action with the Colonel here. And that's how the Extra Crispy originally started.
Ooh-wee.
So, number 2 is he did not call the gentleman a simple son of a bitch and when the eggs were returned undercooked. And he did not say, "Are you so goddamn bum-fuzzled that you missed the griddle on both attempts?" That is a purely Shane made-up quote.
Fair.
As well as the chef telling him, "You ain't allowed in here" for the kitchen, and the retort, "You shouldn't be either. As a cook, you're as confused as a fart in a fan factory." That is all made up by
Well,
Shane.
you just
I
very
like Part in the Fan
sneakily,
Factory a lot.
Yeah.
very sneakily, you capped it all together at the beginning when you said, "Oh, there's a bunch of interesting Southern slang that I've never heard before. I see what you're doing."
I've taken to lying pre-roll as well, so that we can really get into
I mean,
it.
it's the name of the game. You know,
It is. That's
it's how you get the liquid cheese on your pizza.
indeed.
True
So that
that.
gets us through 4 lies. John got the lie number 5 of the "who licked the pink off your dick, you blundering tree stump." That is not a genuine
See, that
Sanders
one
quote.
sounds authentically Shane.
You can't be as confused as a fart in a fan factory?
I don't know. I could see Sanders saying that.
So could I. I could also see him asking who licked the pink off your dick, but, that's me. So he did not visit the occasional Christian revival, contrary to what may be believed. So that
Didn't Courtney
is the
say-
other.
say that,
Yeah,
or-
that's the one she
oh.
caught. That's the
I'm
other
here,
one that she was
and
in.
I'm Michael.
Sweet Jesus. Okay. And then number 7 is that he did not meet Billy Graham and Jerry Falwell at those various things, but he was a friend to Billy Graham and Jerry Falwell. So technically, we can give Courtney a twofer for catching the initial one.
Okay.
But they do lend to one another. Everything else included on this glorious episode is all actual fact, at least according to the sources that I discovered.
Wow.
Huh.
Indeed.
I had no idea that there would be so much to Sanders.
You're not alone, my friend, but because I honestly, the food that built America, as I said, only barely scrapes the scab off of Colonel Sanders, and really the only thing they get into is that the shooting incident and him creating the pressure cooker, chicken recipe, essentially, and refining everything. Everything else they kind of left to the imagination. So I was very pleased when I turned this stone over and found a very foul-mouthed Southern dandy.
Foul-mouthed.
That was the point. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeehaw.
Well, Yeehaw Juice has been spread around, and it comes complete with your KFC meal these days, so hope you're enjoying.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, can we have a fried chicken party as the wrap party for this
I
series?
am so
Oh,
down
yeah.
for that. Please, let's do it.
Next week?
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'm ready.
I'm fucking here. I live here.
Ready?
I live here.
Also, this doesn't need to go on air, but we don't always have to do it here. I just feel like this is kind of central for Michael. And this is actually, for the first time ever doing something creative, this is a middle point. But I can take this shit anywhere. So I'm happy to hang out wherever you guys want to hang out.
Yeah, that was John's initial line on his Tinder profile. It got Becky snared, too.
No, actually, the line on my Tinder profile that got Becky was, I'm the kind of atheist that's not an asshole about it.
Oh,
You
I
mentioned
thought you were
this.
Say,
Yeah.
You can get up in the tubes of you.
I'm going to
Well.
tell you that later tonight.
Oh.
Get up in
Ooh.
them guts. Just like
I
Colonel
like
Sanders
the-
on a chicken.
I like the tubes on you, is what I'm going to say.
Indeed. And who probes in a pineapple under titties? Becky's hot pants.
Sorry,
All
Steven.
right.
Sorry, God.
Ladies and germaphobes, thank you as always for joining us for another spiritually stirring edition of the Disinformed podcast. And we are at least 30% more Christian this week, which is very impressive. Just by Colonel Sanders' inclusion, I think.
Yeah.
That man
And-
loved him some God.
And actually, we were 43% Michael today, too.
Yeah, we don't call it Mush Mouse. We just call it Michael Mouth.
Huh?
Yep. Thank you, Michael.
Exactly.
Well, in case you folks were blissfully unaware, we have got some social networks that you need to avoid at all costs. So, for instance, if you're sharing interesting pictures with your mom and uncle on Facebook, you should definitely stray far from facebook.com/disinformedpodcast. If you're over on the Instagrams, Courtney is still diligently creating content for you foul little fucks out there, and you are not loving it. And I am very upset at this, so you need to go and support her. At least for her. She's the one decent one amongst us.
And you know what? If you should check out the Instagram, because she is posting legitimate things and trying to make it look like we care. And it's a goddamn shame that you're not interacting with her hard work.
Indeed, and now she's just being spammed by people running fake radio profiles, which is really disgusting.
I tried for one day to go through and respond no. See, every single
was
one.
I
wondering
did
who
see
did
those.
That.
I was very
so
tickled.
Funny.
And it's lowercase, so it means I'm not really even you don't even
Yep.
warrant capitalization.
Yep, I can't
No.
be bothered. Furthermore, if you are keen on seeing Twitter fare that is not as entertaining as John or Courtney's, you can find us there at DisinformedPod. And there is an individual also on here who does have a Twitter that we are not going to name, but he follows our accounts, from my understanding.
Whoa.
What?
Steven, do you follow me on Twitter?
I don't believe I do.
He follows me because I'm the
Yes,
best.
it is true.
True, there's no argument
It
with
is
that.
known.
Well,
It is known.
I can't
Indeed.
compete with her feed. Her feed is fuego. So
Yeah, particularly when it calls me on the carpet for liking curvaceous women. I'm sorry. Excuse the hell
the
out
heart
of me.
wants what the heart wants.
What, did you want me to sexualize Michael? Like, come on.
We were
No one
trying to
wants
normalize that for a second.
But then
I
we
like-
realized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then we saw his thigh meat. We immediately regretted that decision.
Yep, that's what you
Yeah.
get.
What
John,
did you say in the message today when I asked if you were going to wear pants?
Oh yeah, I said,
I
fuck
can't be
no,
contained.
I cannot be contained.
Indeed. The heart wants what the heart wants, particularly if it is heart disease. So,
Bring me some
we
more
are
of that fried
also... Do love me some empty calories. We are also on the glorious Tubes of You. You're welcome, Becky. every Wednesday and Friday, still for the foreseeable future, because we've got some interesting fodder for the After Dark this week. And so, you can find us there on Wednesdays and Fridays with fan fiction and After Dark nonsense at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. If you want to keep catching up with us and just get content flung at your face, neck, and chest as though it were Colonel Sanders with a backhand egg toss.
Hot.
And I believe that is going to wrap it up in a rascally wrap that we will then place firmly on the top of a chicken's back for this week for the Disinformed podcast. I am Colonel Shane Hunt.
I'm just John.
You could be General John. I mean, we'll just slide down the rank. Fuck it, we'll do it live. I'm Shane.
I am Colonel John.
I am Colonel Mike.
I'm Courtney.
We can't all be colonels. Some of us have to be nibs.
I'm Double Colonel.
I'm Private Mike.
If only.
I'm Sergeant Steven.
Well played. Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and as per usual, I am happy to bid you so long and good night.
Lick the pink off your dick.
Steven.